How does the saying go, guys? I can't remember what it is. Just when you thought you were out, they pull you back in. I think that this is exactly the way that Leaf fans would describe the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, it's hard for any Leaf fan to hate on winning Game 6. I mean, they just shut out the Panthers. They only got like 17 shots, but things went pretty well. They were really good defensively, I thought. Matthew Nyes looked pretty injured. That's obviously a concern, but it's just the same thing. Now, the question of this video is going to be, do you believe? Do you believe again? I have a hard time, guys. We have seen this plenty of times. Now, I have seen some things as a Leaf fan. I've been in the trenches with you guys for years. I'm really hoping that they can pull this out. Here's the thing. If they were to win in Game 7 on home ice against the defending Stanley Cup champions, we talk about ghosts. You understand what I'm saying, right? This would extinguish every ghost ever. You beat the Stanley Cup champions on home ice. What more could be better than that, right? Now, I have been hurt, and we've been hurt again, and I'm ready to get hurt again, because I hope the Leafs take it in Game 7, man, because that was a really, really, really good game. Joe Woll with the shutout. This has been a grind. You got to give it to the Florida Panthers. They are a hell of a hockey team. Now, I would be remiss if I did not touch on the Mitch Marner trade rumors, and that is what I wanted to touch on in this video, as well as Game 6. And I wanted to kind of go over this and extrapolate everything into one video. No, I think more than anything, Mitch Marner actually wants to win as a Toronto Maple Leaf. I really do think that he just wants to win, and it's just not working here, right? And that's probably what he's mostly concerned about, is that he's just not winning. Now, a lot of that not winning is him getting paid a ton of money and not showing up in the big games, and Matthews, might I add, but whatever. But at the end of the day, it's always about big game performances. Can you show up when it matters the most? I know it's hard. I know that it's difficult for players, but it is weird. Some players just have the clutch gene. It's like Matthew Nyes seems to have a little bit of that in him. William Nylander at least shows a little something in big games. But the article we're going to be reading off today has zero reason to believe Mitch Marner signed extension with the Maple Leafs. This is insider Chris Johnson saying this. Regardless of the lack of postseason success, Mitch Marner has done enough to go down as one of the better players in Maple Leafs franchise history. But as the end of his 6-year, $65.41 million contract looms, it's almost certainly the top pending unrestricted free agent will indeed test the market this summer, writes Chris Johnson of The Athletic. So this is what I've been saying with this all completely is I think that Mitch Marner is walking almost no matter what. When you have players that are saying things like this and they're kind of dilly-dallying, do you remember when John Tavares left the Islanders to be a Toronto Maple Leaf? He was kind of saying very similar things. He was kind of dilly-dallying and, I want to be here. And then all of a sudden he got to UFA and he signed somewhere else. So this is essentially what I'm trying to say. That's what's leading me to believe that. The article continues. When Marner reportedly declined to waive his no movement clause in a deal at the deadline that would have sent him to the Hurricanes for Mikko Rantanen, some believed he did so in hopes of continuing extension talks with Toronto. That wasn't necessarily the case, Johnson notes. While the Leafs were interested in in-season extension talks, Marner's camp had refused to negotiate during the campaign. This is what I've been saying as well, that I personally find it pathetic that the Leafs have been chasing Mitch Marner around. I understand they won Game 6, but for me, if I was managing the Toronto Maple Leafs, I would be like, show me what you have. You got to step up in the big games. I find the Leafs have almost no pride in the fact of being a Toronto Maple Leaf. You got to show me that you can do it in the big game. Why the hell would I sign you when you can't even show up in the big game? I can't imagine you guys can't agree with that. In Chris Johnson's article, it continues, there's been a growing sense that the 28-year-old winger wants a fresh start after enduring an avalanche of criticism for his team's repeated playoff shortcomings. Okay, I'm sorry. If he is this highly paid, he should be criticized. Okay, he should be criticized. It's ridiculous to not criticize the guy. Johnson writes, the dynamic playmaker and longtime Austin Matthews line mate is coming off a career-high 75 assists, 102-point performance in the regular season. He's still over a point per game in this year's playoffs, which is true, but he's gone without a point in back-to-back contests in the second round as the Panthers have won 3 straight to erase and reverse Toronto's 2-0 series lead. The Leafs now enter a must-win scenario on the road against the defending Stanley Cup champions tonight, which they won, so that's good. And my God, I can't even stop thinking about what a huge opportunity this Game 7 is. Now, I don't think they're going to win, but that's just my opinion. I hope I'm wrong about that. I really would love to see them come out in Game 7. Most believe General Manager Brad Treveling's top offseason priority is reserving cap space for pending restricted free agent Matthew Knies, and for good reason. 22-year-old power forward with 29 goals and 58 points, alongside Matthews and Marner, is averaging nearly 21 minutes per game in the playoffs with 5 goals. They presumably like to get it done quickly to remove the threat of an offer sheet, which is a very real threat, by the way. There's going to be offer sheet that leaves the Leafs, who have just 5 goals from their bottom 6 forward in terms of ice time in the playoffs, with a little maneuverability to add scoring depth if a big ticket extension were handed out to both Knies and Marner and John Tavares. So I'm going to finish this off by saying one thing. If you let Marner walk, which again, if they lose if the guy doesn't show up in Game 7, which he might not, you should let him walk. I would like to see them go after somebody like Nikolai Ehlers or something like that. I think Nikolai Ehlers is a hell of a player. He has had a little bit of a shaded history in the playoffs, to be honest with you. However, he has 7 points and 5 goals in 7 games for the Winnipeg Jets this year, so he's actually been pretty good. But anyways, I just wanted to touch on these trade rumors, or no, well, not rumors, just rumors that he wants to potentially leave. I want you guys to let me know what you think about them winning Game 6 first off. So what do you think about that? And then what do you think that you should do if they get past the Florida Panthers and make it to the East Finals? Does that change your mindset? To me, obviously, it would change my mindset to Mitch Marner, in my opinion. Anyways, I'm going to leave this video here. If you could make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it, guys. And make sure to have a great day. Goodbye, guys.